Hello guys, this is your boy Lee Solanki and today we'll be talking about how to register your own startup company in India. In this video, I'll try to answer all of your doubts related to it, like can you register your company by yourself, what are the documents required for it, and also if you can register it online or not. Registering a startup in India is quite easier than you think, and you can actually do it online as well. But before I talk about it, let's first understand what are the various categories in which you can register your company. The first is private limited company, then there is LLP, that is limited liability partnership, then there's OPC, that is one person company, and the last one is sole proprietorship. Let's first talk about the most famous way to register a business, and that is private limited company. This type of business entity is the most suitable one if you're an entrepreneur. Also, if you're looking to raise funds for your company and want to grow it further, then the investors and even the banks would prefer it if you have registered your business as a private limited company, as it is the most reputed form of business entity and also has little to no liability on its shareholders. What I mean by this is, let's say if the company is not able to pay its loans or clear its dues, then the banks cannot sell any of the shareholders or founders' assets in order to recover it. The only thing they have control over are the assets under the business itself. Now, let's talk about its features. So, for a private limited company, you would require at least two directors and two shareholders. The legalities involved in forming a private limited company are quite complex and would require professionals' help in order to do so. Other than this, you would need to have a minimum paid up capital allocated to your company, and currently, for a private limited company, it is 1 lakh rupees. Also, once your private limited company is formed, you will need to hire a CA. This is actually mandatory for filing all of your company related documents. There is no exception to this, and if you have not made any profits during a financial year or even face significant loss, you would still need to have a CA and file all the documents related to the company. The legalities actually don't even stop there. If let's say you want to close down your private limited company, then again the process is quite complex and you will need a professional's help in that as well. So to ease things down a bit, the government has introduced limited liability partnership. Here again you would need at least two partners, and just like in a private limited company, here also you will have perpetual succession. This means that in the event of a partner's death, the company would still be able to function and won't be dissolved due to it. But if you talk about the other traditional partnership firms, which I'll be going over in this video, if a partner of the firm dies, then the firm has to be dissolved. Other than this, the partners are liable to the LLP only for the money they have put into the company, and their personal assets won't be touched in the event that the company is not able to pay its dues or loans on time or has even gone bankrupt. Now, the compliances associated with a limited liability company are not as complicated as a private limited company. Apart from this, in the case of private limited company, we saw that you would need to have at least 1 lakh rupees as paid up capital. However, there is no minimum paid up capital for a limited liability partnership. Now, private limited company and limited liability partnership both require at least two partners or directors. However, what if you want to start a business on your own? For that, the business entities present are one person company, that is OPC, and sole proprietorship. Let's talk about each one in detail. One person company, as the name suggests, is a proper company but set up by only one person. The business is kept different from its founder and its financials are handled separately. Also, there is no minimum paid up capital, unlike private limited company where you had to put up at least 1 lakh rupees. However, all the complex compliances that a private limited company has to follow, like filing for audits, tax returns and whatnot, need to be filled with a one person company as well. It is actually better to avoid starting as an OPC because one, investors prefer LLP and private limited company over an OPC, and second, you anyways would have to file all the audits and other compliances that are required in a private limited company. The last form of business entity is sole proprietorship. Proprietorship is where you yourself be the owner of the business. All the profit and loss that it faces would actually be traced back to your profit and loss. In short, you have unlimited liability over the business. What it means is, if let's say the business defaults on any loan given by the bank, then it can actually seize your personal assets in order to recover the amount. So that's why only if you handle a small business is when you opt for sole proprietorship. Mostly all the shop owners register their business as proprietorship. The government registrations and regulations are the least when it comes to this form of entity. It essentially is the simplest one to register your business as. Now that we have talked about all the various forms of business entities, let's also learn about the tax registrations. The first one is obviously GST registration. If the turnover of your business exceeds 20 lakhs for any given year, then it becomes mandatory for you to file GST. However, for some northern states, GST registration becomes mandatory if the turnover of your business exceeds a minimum of 10 lakh rupees. Other than this, it is also mandatory if you are into import-export business or even if you trade between the states itself. Even e-commerce is not spared here. If you are into e-commerce business, then again GST registration becomes mandatory for you. Also, if you are into import-export business, then you would have to file IEC, that is Import-Export Code registration, separately. In some states, there is a different type of tax registration, and that is professional tax registration, which you would have to file if you live in those states. Now, there are two more types of registrations, and that depend on the number of employees working in your business. If your business has 10 or more employees working with you, then it becomes mandatory for you to file ESI, Employee State Insurance Registration. However, once your business grows over 20 employees, then you would have to additionally file for PF registration, that is Provident Fund registration. Other than this, there is also an optional registration, and that is the MSME or the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises registration. MSME is the same as Udyog Aadhaar registration. It is better to file it because it has various benefits, like you get loans at cheaper rate. If you file an application in the electricity department, then you may also be exempted from paying the electricity bill and whatnot. Now, there are so many types of registrations, and if you're watching this video, then you might probably get confused as to how to file all of these things along with registering your company as well. Let me tell you that you can actually do it totally online. You can either go to the official government's website, that is mca.gov.in, and file for all of these things there. However, you would require professionals' help when you do so. So to make things even more simpler for you, you can go over to indiafilings.com and have all of your registrations done through there. Or you can even go over to ispeedbiz.com, which is another great website for completing all of your company's registrations online. So that's it for this video, and if you like this video, then do press the like button. If you have any doubts or queries, feel free to comment it down below. I'd be happy to help you all out. Also, subscribe to this channel for more such content.